A lot of times we fall into the trap of trying to make ourselves uncomfortable, but we don't want to be uncomfortable, and it creates a conflict and it freezes us. Then we end up doing nothing. What I'm trying to say is, dude, what are you afraid of? Like, sometimes just fall. Hey guys, I wanted to share a quick story. I felt really inspired yesterday, and as you can see from my gear and outfit, I'm at a ski resort in Vermont, and the outfit looks fancy, but I'm not a skier. I learned how to ski literally yesterday, but that was the breakthrough moment that I wanted to talk about, because last night at 2 a.m. I was able to draw a lot of parallels to what all of you guys might be going through, and how it made me realize how difficult and challenging it can be to break through our limiting beliefs. So here it goes. A year and a half ago, my wife was adamant about having our kids learn how to ski. I have a 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter, and we want to make sure that we give them as much as possible the stuff that we didn't grow up with. Like, I grew up in a little city in a low-income family. You know, we used to ski on a garbage bag, basically. Like, that's your skiing sliding experience. Anyways, then they started taking private lessons, and they're kids. They learn really, really fast. And then my wife started asking me to learn how to ski. And as a personality type, I'm a very pragmatic, practical, logical type of business owner. So for me to learn something new, it's got to make logical sense, and certain things do not. So the way I looked at skiing was like, all right, so let me just imagine this. So we're gonna go to a really cold location, dress up in layers and put on shoes that weigh like a cinder block, and then we're gonna climb on top of a really cold mountain just to slide back down to the point that we started. It didn't make any sense to me at all. But then she asked me to take private lessons. I said, okay, I'll do it because you want me to do it. I took 2 private lessons, miserably failed. And honestly, what I'm understanding is pretty difficult to fail at private lessons. It's one-on-one, and it's just how bad I was. Like, I was angry, I was pissed, I couldn't move in certain ways. Anyways, long story short, after her private lesson, she started learning how to ski, and I didn't learn how to ski, and I was perfectly okay with it. Like, whatever, we don't need to learn everything, right? But it hit me like a couple of months ago, actually beginning of the ski season. My kids, since they know how to ski, my wife wanted me to take some videos of them, and we went to the ski resorts near our home. And then I'm watching them sliding down the slope with my wife, and I'm the one holding the camera, taking pictures and videos of that. I said, wait a second. I know what is happening. What is happening is, fast forward 5 years from now, they're going to be better skiers. They're going to try different slopes and all of that. I'll be the daddy who's kind of left behind and not know how to ski because of my logic that it doesn't work out. We don't have to do that. That's not good. I want to be a part of their experience, right? And then this season, my wife booked a place for us to come here. We're in Vermont, great resort. And it was the private lesson time again for me because I'm the slow one to learn, right? And then we did it. I had an amazing coach who's very insightful. Long story short, after 2.5 hours, I learned how to ski. I'm obviously still very beginner. You can't just learn something and get great at it. But I was trying to understand why it worked out. And what the parallel to all of us is that we tend to not do things just because they don't make sense. We don't do them because we don't understand why we would do them. Until I clarify my why, I didn't care about learning skiing. But the moment that I connected to my family and kids and not being able to catch up to them or have those experiences with them, the meaning of skiing changed. I don't know if I'll ever be an avid skier. That's not the point. But the point is that if you want to do something and you're not really clear on your why, you just won't do it. You're not going to take it as seriously. So that kind of reminds me of people that I talk to every day. They do things to make more money. They start a new business, they make initiatives, they change this, they go on social media, they become business loan brokers. But many times it's not clearly connected to a very strong emotional why. Otherwise, we're just not going to learn it because it is very difficult. Our crocodile brain doesn't allow us to learn new things when there's no emotional attachment to that thing. My ski coach yesterday, we were having a deeper level discussion as I got more comfortable skiing, is that it reminded me of a book that I read called A Talent Code, right? So it was analyzing, it's like a scientific research book where they analyze why certain countries do things better than other countries like Russia and skiing and ice hockey. I mean, ice hockey has changed over the years, but why were they like so good at certain things and others were not? Was it like a God-given thing that you're born with it? And it came down to a substance called myelin in our brain. Myelin is responsible from building those neural pathways in your brain when you're starting something new, right? So that's why, like, when, let's say you're starting to become a business loan broker and you've never done it before, physically and chemically, that path does not exist. It's just not there. That's why it's extremely difficult. It feels that way to do that. But then you look at other people who never done this before. They never became a business loan broker. They join or they do it on their own, whatever, right? Within a month, within 15 days, they start funding deals. And you say to yourself, well, they didn't have the myelin highway or the path there. But how did they do it? Because they connected to a strong why. And the way it works is that when you don't have those neurotransmitters firing, because it doesn't exist, it becomes difficult. And when you first connected, for example, going back to my ski experience, it did not exist. So there's a path, but it's like me having a machete trying to walk through an Amazon forest. Very difficult. Whereas my ski coach has been skiing for like 45 years. His neural pathways are probably like a 6-lane highway. Why? Because he's been doing it over and over and over and over again. It's gotten to a point that he can do backflips. He can train Olympic skiers and things like that. And you look up to someone like that and be like, yeah, I wish I can do that. Well, you can't, because that guy has those pathways fully built because he's been working on it. And the reason I asked him, why did you learn how to ski? And his response like validated my point, is that his dad was a skier and he felt like he was falling behind if he doesn't know. You kind of look up to your dad, whether you like him or not. And then it was his motivation to be like him, right? So we all have these things going on. So if you're starting out, my message to whether you're in my community and business lending blueprint or you're doing some other thing, it's okay, it's difficult. But I can tell you that it's going to be a lot more difficult if you haven't taken time to identify your why. Why are you in doing this? Sure, make more money. Okay, can you not ask for more hours from your boss and make more money? Or just change job or get a better company or focus on your existing business? If no, that means there's a deeper reason. And that's why it's important to give yourself the time to learn stuff. But don't forget the book that I mentioned, The Talent Code. It's not that we're all born with like God-given skills. We do have a certain percentage of that, but it's just a matter of what's gonna move you, what has moved you in the past. Like go back to your past experiences. Otherwise, this is the business that I know about. Business loan brokering is relatively easy, and I know it's gonna piss off some people when I say this. They'll be like, it's easy for you, Oz. No, it hasn't been easy for me, trust me, when I first started out, but it gets really easy, and people say things like it's second nature, it's muscle memory. No, it's just you have the pathway in your brain, you built it, right? So that's why, like, if you're starting out, you're at zero, and just go back to that. Like, you can learn content, you can talk to people, and then it's incremental growth. You're not going to do a backflip on skis today, but if you can stand on your feet and not make a fool of yourself and face your fears. Another thing that was a breakthrough for me yesterday, within the first 2 hours, my coach kept telling me, dude, what are you afraid of? Like, we're trying to go downhill, but you're trying to go sideways, and you're just making it difficult for yourself. Like, what is the real fear? And I thought about it. I didn't know what the fear was. And I finally said, you know what? I think the fear is that I'm afraid to fall. He's like, okay, why don't you just fall then? I'm like, what do you mean? I can't just fall. He's like, yeah, just face it. Like, let's go. And it was like a bunny slope, right? So you can't really fall down, at like 50 miles an hour. He's like, yeah, as you're doing your whatever, like, pizza, and just gracefully try to fall and see what happens. I'm like, okay, that's silly, but yeah. And I did that. I fell, it hurt, but then I said, that wasn't too bad, and I got up and I felt a lot more confident. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes just fall. Like, take action. If you feel uncomfortable talking to people, just talk to them and know that it's going to hurt and you'll be okay with it. I think a lot of times we fall into the trap of trying to make ourselves uncomfortable, but we don't want to be uncomfortable, and it creates a conflict and it freezes us. Then we end up doing nothing, right? So that's really, really important. And the final point is that I always say this, but when the student is ready, teacher appears, right? I could have gone through so many other lessons and I would have probably equally failed. But I was ready this time to listen to someone else. So this happens with a lot of people. They want their solutions to disappear, but they're not ready mentally to initiate that, right? It's not my coach's job to teach me to ski. He's been there for 40 years teaching other people. It was the student who was not ready. So I just want to share some points. I don't know what your thoughts are. Comment below and let me know your thoughts, but it was like a lot of things for me to, I know for skiers, this is like a little thing. You might be saying, duh, like that's how life works. I'm like, I get it, but sometimes we lose perspective on things, and going back to the fundamentals, basics, whatever it is that you're learning, the fundamentals are the same. Like, we are actually relatively straightforward creatures. features. Like if you don't tie your outcome to a strong emotional why that already exists in your mind, things become like 3-4 more times difficult. So I hope this helps. Let me know your thoughts, and hopefully our paths cross and I get the honor of helping you. All right, take care.